Eventually, boredom creates resistance. You start avoiding the habit, not because it's hard, but because it feels dull. This avoidance deepens the plateau, making it seem like you're not capable of more, when really, you just need a fresh spark. Understanding boredom helps you notice when your mind needs variety, challenge, or a tiny change. Often, breaking a plateau is as simple as adding something new, a different method, a new pace, or a slightly harder step to wake your brain up again. Plateau Diagnosis Checklist. Use this checklist to understand why your progress may have stalled. Read each question slowly and notice which ones feel true for you. Have my habits become too familiar or boring? Am I repeating the same routine without any variation? Do I feel less focused or less engaged than when I started? Am I practicing with low effort or rushing through the steps? Have I stopped challenging myself, even in small ways? Is my environment distracting or draining my energy? Am I emotionally tired, stressed, or overwhelmed? Have my goals changed without me adjusting my plan? Am I avoiding the habit because it feels dull or pointless? Do I need to break my goal into smaller, clearer steps? This checklist helps you see the hidden reasons behind a plateau. Once you know what's blocking you, you can make small adjustments that restart movement and bring your progress back to life. Micro wins reignite progress because they remind you that movement is still possible, even when everything feels stuck. When you achieve a tiny victory, a short walk, a single page read, a small task completed, you prove to yourself that you're not frozen. You're capable of change, and you can take action right now. These small wins wake up your motivation. They give your brain a quick burst of reward, which helps rebuild the excitement that plateaus often erase. Even the smallest success tells your mind, "See, you can do this." That spark of confidence makes the next step feel easier. Micro wins also break the heaviness that comes with stagnation. Instead of feeling overwhelmed by how far you still have to go, you feel encouraged by what you just achieved. The goal stops feeling impossible because you're moving again, even if the steps are tiny. Money. Over time, micro wins build momentum. One small action leads to another, and soon the routine that once felt stuck begins to flow again. Progress returns, not in giant leaps, but in steady steps that add up. In this way, micro wins act like the first gentle push that gets a stalled train rolling. They don't look powerful, but they set everything back in motion. Resting and quitting may look similar on the surface, but inside they are completely different. Resting is a pause you choose so you can continue. Quitting is a full stop that closes the door on progress. When you rest, you are protecting your energy. When you quit, you are abandoning the path entirely. Resting says, "I still care about this, but I need a moment to breathe." It gives your mind and body time to recover so you can return stronger. Rest is an act of wisdom, not weakness. It respects the natural cycles of effort and renewal. Quitting says, "I'm done with this," usually because the journey feels too heavy or the goal no longer feels possible. Quitting disconnects you from the future you were trying to build. Sometimes quitting is necessary when a path no longer fits your life. But often, it's a reaction to temporary discomfort, not a true decision. The key difference lies in intention. Resting keeps the door open. It allows you to step away without losing your progress or your identity. Quitting locks the door behind you and walks away from the vision you once believed in. When you understand this difference, you learn to give yourself space without losing your direction. You can step back when you're tired, overwhelmed, or stretched thin, knowing that your pause is a form of strength, not surrender. Chapter 12. The Accountability Engine. Accountability increases success because it adds support, structure, and a sense of responsibility that strengthens your commitment. When you know someone else is aware of your goals, you naturally try harder. You don't want to let yourself down, and you don't want to let them down either. This gentle pressure helps you stay consistent, especially on days when your motivation is low. Accountability also creates clarity. When you share your goals with another person, you're forced to explain what you want, why you want it, and what steps you'll take. This alone makes your goals more concrete and easier to follow. Clear goals are always easier to achieve than vague ones. Another reason accountability works is that it adds encouragement. Having someone check in on you, celebrate your progress, or remind you of your potential can lift your mood and boost your confidence. When the journey feels hard, another person's belief in you can carry you forward. Finally, accountability reduces excuses. It's easy to talk yourself out of a habit when no one is watching. But when someone else knows your plan, you become more honest with yourself. You start following through because you feel supported and responsible, not pressured, but guided. With accountability, you're no longer walking alone. You have someone in your corner, and that simple connection can turn a quiet goal into a real, steady success. Accountability can take many forms, and each one offers a different kind of support. One of the most common forms is an accountability partner, a single person you check in with regularly. This could be a friend, a family member, or someone working toward a similar goal. The strength of a partner is the personal connection. You talk honestly, share progress, admit struggles, and remind each other why you started. A partner gives you someone who knows your journey closely and cares enough to keep you on track. Another powerful form is group accountability. This could be a small support circle, a class, a club, or an online community. Groups create momentum because everyone is moving in the same direction. When you see others making progress, you feel inspired to keep going. There's also comfort in knowing you're not alone. Groups offer shared energy, encouragement, and a sense of belonging that makes habits easier to maintain. A third form is digital accountability. This includes apps, habit trackers, online challenges, reminders, and digital communities. Technology keeps you aware of your goals throughout the day. It can track your streaks, show your progress, send alerts, or connect you with people you've never met but who share the same goals. Digital accountability works well for people who like structure, data, or quiet motivation without direct social pressure. Each form has its own strengths. A partner gives you personal support, a group gives you community energy, and digital tools give you consistency and structure. Many people use a mix of all three because they work together to create a powerful system of support, one that keeps you moving even when motivation fades. A weekly accountability ritual is a simple routine you follow every week to stay aligned with your goals and honest with yourself. It doesn't need to be complicated, just consistent. Here's one you can use. Step 1. Review your week, 5 minutes. Sit down somewhere quiet and look back at the last 7 days. Ask yourself what you did well, what felt hard, and what you avoided. This gentle review helps you understand your patterns without judging yourself. Step 2. Check your progress. In 5 minutes, look at the habits or goals you're tracking. Notice where you kept going and where you slipped. Seeing the truth on paper or on a screen makes your progress clear and real. Step 3. Send one accountability message, 2 minutes. Message your partner, group, or digital community. Share 3 things: what you completed, what you struggled with, and what you're focusing on next week. Even a short message strengthens your commitment. Step 4. Choose your top 3 goals for the week, 3 minutes. Pick 3 small, realistic actions that matter. These are your anchors, the habits you intend to follow no matter how busy life gets. Step 5. Prepare your environment. 5 minutes. Set things out for success. Lay out workout clothes, tidy your desk, place your book where you'll see it, or clear the clutter around your workspace. Small environmental tweaks make your goals easier to follow. Step 6. End with a promise to yourself. 1 minute. Write or say a simple statement like, "This week, I will show up in small ways, even when I don't feel like it." This short promise strengthens your identity and keeps your intentions clear. This weekly ritual takes less than 20 minutes, but it creates clarity, consistency, and momentum. It turns your goals into something you check in with regularly, instead of something you hope will happen on its own. Jason had always wanted to get in shape, but every time he tried, he would last a week or 2, and then slowly slip back into old habits. He wasn't lazy. He just lost focus when life became busy. He knew what to do, but he couldn't stay consistent long enough to see real results. Every time he skipped a workout, he told himself he would start again tomorrow. But tomorrow kept moving further away. One afternoon, after missing yet another workout, he felt frustrated with himself. He realized he needed something different, something that would keep him from backing out so easily. So he asked his coworker, Daniel, if he wanted to become accountability partners. Daniel agreed instantly, saying he also needed the same kind of push. They made a simple plan. Every morning, they would send each other a short message, a picture from their walk, a screenshot of their workout app, or a quick note saying what they completed. There was no pressure, no competition, just honesty and support. The first week, Jason felt a shift. When he woke up tired and wanted to skip his routine, he remembered that Daniel would be waiting for his message. That thought alone gave him just enough motivation to get moving. Some days, the message he sent was small, just a 2-minute stretch or a short walk. But he still showed up, and that kept him proud of himself. A few weeks later, something unexpected happened. Jason started looking forward to his workouts. He felt stronger, slept better, and noticed that his confidence was growing. The small wins began to add up, and the simple act of checking in helped him stay grounded. Even on tough days, he didn't feel alone. Someone else was walking the same path. Months passed, and Jason reached a level of consistency he had never experienced before. He lost weight, gained energy, and felt more in control of his life. When people asked him how he finally stuck with his goals, he didn't talk about special programs or strict diets. He said one thing: "I stopped trying to do everything alone." Accountability didn't change who Jason was. It helped him become the person he always wanted to be. By having someone to share his journey with, he turned effort into habit and habit into success. Supportive environments matter, because they reduce the internal load required to make good choices and increase the cues that reinforce positive behavior. When your surroundings, people, and systems align with your goals, they remove barriers, encourage effort, and make progress feel natural instead of forced. A supportive environment works on several levels. 1. Emotional safety. When you feel understood instead of judged, you take more risks, try new things, and recover faster from setbacks. Emotional safety makes consistency possible because you don't waste energy defending yourself. 2. Reduced friction. Supportive environments make good actions easier. Healthy food is visible, reminders are in place, tools are accessible, and people around you reinforce rather than undermine your choices. The path of least resistance moves in the direction you want to go. 3. Motivational cues. Encouraging people, inspiring surroundings, and well-designed routines act as constant signals that nudge you toward your goals. These cues keep momentum alive, especially on low-energy days. 4. Accountability without pressure. Supportive environments provide gentle accountability. They make you feel backed rather than pushed. The message becomes, you're capable, and you're not doing this alone. 5. Stability during difficult periods. When life gets chaotic, a supportive environment acts as a buffer. It keeps you anchored so one bad day doesn't turn into abandonment of your habits. 6. Identity reinforcement. Your environment shapes how you see yourself. Supportive spaces and people reflect back the version of you that you're trying to become, making identity change feel real and attainable. In short, supportive environments matter because they turn discipline into something shared, not something you carry entirely by yourself. They make growth sustainable rather than exhausting. Choosing the right accountability partner is less about finding the perfect person and more about finding someone whose presence naturally supports your progress. The most important quality is someone who genuinely respects your goals, someone who doesn't try to reshape them, override them, or push their own agenda. A good partner wants to see you follow the path that matters to you. Reliability matters even more than enthusiasm. Many people are excited at the beginning, but disappear once the novelty fades. A strong accountability partner is steady, consistent, and willing to show up even on ordinary days. Honesty and encouragement also need to coexist. You want someone who can tell you the truth without being harsh. Someone who won't shame you for slipping, but also won't let you hide from what you committed to. The best partners hold you gently but firmly to your intentions. It also helps when the person is pursuing their own growth. They don't have to share your exact goals, but they should understand what discipline, setbacks, and habits feel like. People who are working on themselves naturally bring empathy and focus to the partnership. Or sen. Communication style is another key factor. You need someone who can check in regularly, respond in a timely way, and talk openly about what is or isn't working. If communication is inconsistent or stressful, accountability breaks down. You should avoid choosing someone who triggers competition, comparison, or pressure. Accountability works best when the relationship feels supportive and safe, not when it feels like a performance. Emotional steadiness also plays a role. Your partner doesn't need to be perfectly calm all the time, but they should be balanced enough that their stress or mood swings won't spill into your progress. Above all, you must trust them. Accountability requires honesty about your struggles and setbacks, and you can't be honest with someone you don't feel comfortable with. And finally, It's wise to test the partnership for a short time before committing to it. Sometimes someone seems like the right fit on paper, but doesn't match your rhythm in practice. A trial period lets both of you see if the dynamic actually helps you grow. A good accountability partner doesn't push you. They support you, steady you, and make your path easier to stay on. Here are some accountability questions readers can use to stay honest, focused, and aware of their progress. Ask them weekly or even daily to stay on track. What did I commit to this week? And did I follow through? What small win am I proud of, even if it felt tiny? Where did I get stuck and why? What is one thing I can do today to move forward again? Did I avoid anything? If so, what emotion was behind the avoidance? What support do I need right now that I haven't asked for? What habit helped me the most this week? What habit tripped me up? What's one promise I will keep for the next 24 hours? How will I check in with myself or someone else to stay accountable? Community shapes behavior because humans naturally mirror the people around them. When you spend time with a group, you absorb their habits, their attitudes, and even their expectations. Without realizing it, you start acting in ways that match the environment. This is not weakness, it is human biology. Your brain is built to fit in, to belong, and to follow the patterns that feel normal in your surroundings. A strong community makes good behavior feel natural. When people around you value growth, kindness, discipline, or learning, those behaviors become easier for you too. Their actions set a rhythm that your mind instinctively follows. You feel supported, encouraged, and included. Good habits stop feeling like a struggle and start feeling like the obvious way of life. On the other hand, a negative or unmotivated community can quietly pull you backward. If the people around you give up easily, complain often, or avoid responsibility, it becomes harder to rise above that energy. You may not intend to copy them, but you slowly drift toward their level. Community doesn't just influence what you do, it shapes what you believe is possible. When you choose a community that reflects the person you want to become, you give yourself a powerful advantage. You place yourself in an environment that pushes you forward instead of holding you back. In this way, community becomes more than a group of people. It becomes the force that shapes your habits, your identity, and your direction in life. Accountability is often destroyed when honesty begins to fade. The moment someone starts hiding their struggles, downplaying their goals, or pretending everything is fine, the entire system weakens. Accountability only works when the truth is allowed to exist, even when it's uncomfortable. Without honesty, the support structure collapses. Lack of consistency also destroys accountability. When check-ins become irregular, skipped, or forgotten, the habit loses its rhythm. The sense of responsibility fades, and the partnership or group no longer feels reliable. Accountability thrives on routine, and without that steady pattern, motivation slowly slips away. Blame and judgment can also ruin accountability. If someone feels criticized, mocked, or looked down on for failing, they stop sharing openly. Accountability must feel safe, not punishing. The moment it becomes a source of shame, people withdraw, and the connection breaks. Unclear expectations weaken accountability too. When goals are vague or constantly changing, neither person knows what progress should look like. Confusion leads to frustration, and frustration leads to quitting. Clear, simple commitments make accountability strong. Another quiet destroyer is choosing the wrong partner or group. If the people involved are distracted, unmotivated, unreliable, or uninterested, the system falls apart. Accountability needs energy from both sides. When one person never follows through, the other eventually stops trying as well. Finally, ego can destroy accountability. When someone believes they don't need help, don't need reminders, or don't need support, they avoid the very structure that could help them grow. Pride replaces progress, and consistency fades. Accountability isn't fragile, but it must be protected. Honesty, consistency, clarity, and supportive relationships keep it strong, while secrecy, judgment, and unreliability quietly tear it apart. A minimalist accountability system is simple, light, and easy to maintain. Something you can keep using even on your busiest days. It doesn't rely on complicated tools or long checklists. Instead, it focuses on one goal, one action, and one check-in. Start by choosing one clear commitment, not 5, not 10, just one. It could be walking for 5 minutes, writing one paragraph, drinking a glass of water, or meditating for 1 minute. The goal is to make the commitment so small that you can do it even on a bad day. Next, choose one place to record it. This could be a small notebook, a single page on your phone, or even a sticky note on your desk. Each day, simply write "did it" or "missed it." No long explanations, no extra details. The simplicity keeps you consistent. Then, choose one person or one moment to check in. This could be a quick nightly review with yourself or a brief message to a friend once a week. The check-in only needs to answer 2 questions. Did I follow through? And what will I do tomorrow? These questions keep you honest without overwhelming you. The beauty of a minimalist accountability system is that it removes all friction. You don't need motivation, energy, or extra time. You only need to keep one promise, track it in one place, and review it in one quick moment. This tiny structure is enough to keep you grounded, disciplined, and moving forward, without ever feeling heavy or complicated. Chapter 13. Scaling Small Wins. Small wins evolve into big results because they create steady movement in a world where most people wait for giant breakthroughs. A small win may seem tiny in the moment, but it starts a chain reaction. Each little success builds confidence, strengthens identity, and makes the next step easier. Over time, these steps begin to stack on top of each other, creating progress that feels natural instead of forced. What makes small wins powerful is repetition. A single small win is nice, but a series of them becomes transformational. When you take tiny actions every day, you're training your brain to expect progress. You start believing that you can improve, and that belief becomes the foundation for bigger achievements. What once felt impossible now feels reachable, simply because you kept moving. Small wins also change your path quietly. One small improvement in your morning, one tiny adjustment to your environment, or one short burst of effort can shift your direction. It may not look dramatic, but it nudges you toward a better version of yourself. If you follow that path long enough, those tiny nudges add up to massive change. Most big results don't happen from one grand moment. They grow from hundreds of small steps that compound over time. Just like a seed doesn't become a tree overnight, your habits don't become success instantly. They grow a little each day, fueled by patience, consistency, and belief. In the end, small wins don't stay small. They expand, they compound, and they shape your future. All they need is your willingness to begin and your commitment to keep going. It started with something so small that most people would have ignored it. A man named Daniel decided he would stretch for just 30 seconds every morning. He didn't choose it to get fit or become flexible. He chose it because he felt stiff when he woke up. And this tiny action felt easy enough that he couldn't talk himself out of it. 30 seconds seemed meaningless, but it was something he could do even on his most tired days. What Daniel didn't expect was how this small start would change the way he felt about his mornings. After a week, the 30 seconds became a quiet signal to his brain. The day is beginning. He felt a little more awake, a little more present. Soon, he added 1 minute of breathing. Not because he planned it, but because the stretching naturally made him want to feel even better. One small action opened the door to another. After a month, his tiny stretch routine evolved into a 5-minute morning flow. It was still simple, still gentle, but it made him feel strong and grounded. The routine no longer felt like a task. It felt like part of who he was. On days when life felt chaotic, the stretching gave him something steady to hold on to. It became an anchor, a moment of calm he could always return to. As months passed, this 5-minute routine transformed Daniel's entire day. He had more energy, better posture, fewer aches, and a clearer mind. He started taking short walks, drinking more water, and noticing his body in a way he never had before. What began as 30 seconds of stretching had grown into a lifestyle of taking care of himself. Daniel didn't force a transformation. He didn't wake up one day and promise to overhaul his life. He simply picked one tiny action he could actually do, and he did it. Over time, that tiny action became a powerful routine that shaped his health, his confidence, and the rhythm of his life. It all began with 30 seconds that seemed too small to matter, until they mattered more than he ever imagined. Here is a simple scale-up roadmap readers can follow to grow tiny actions into meaningful habits without feeling overwhelmed. Step 1. Start with one tiny action. Choose the smallest version of the habit you want. It should be so simple you can't fail. For example, read 1 paragraph, walk for 1 minute, or drink 1 glass of water. The goal is to succeed, not impress. Step 2. Repeat it daily. Stick to the tiny version until it feels natural. Your only job is to show up. When the action becomes automatic and effortless, you're ready for the next step. Consistency matters more than intensity in the beginning. Step 3. Add a small upgrade. Increase the habit by a tiny amount. Just enough to grow, but not enough to feel heavy. Add 1 more minute, 1 more paragraph, or 1 small layer. Each upgrade should feel like a gentle stretch, not a struggle. Step 4. Link the habit to a routine. Attach your growing habit to something you already do every day, like brushing your teeth, waking up, or finishing lunch. This makes it stable and automatic, giving it a home in your day instead of floating around waiting for motivation. Step 5. Track only one thing. Keep a simple record of whether you did the habit, just yes or no. Tracking helps you stay honest, and honesty keeps you moving forward. You don't need charts or apps. Simple is stronger. Step 6. Adjust when life changes. When days get busy, return to the smallest version of your habit. This prevents collapse and keeps your streak alive. Scaling down is not failure. It is strategy. When life becomes calm again, gently scale up. Step 7. Celebrate micro wins. Every small step deserves recognition. A quick, nice job, a smile, or a check mark can reinforce the routine. The emotional reward helps the habit stick and encourages you to keep going. Step 8. Expand slowly into bigger habits. Once the habit is stable and automatic, allow it to grow naturally. Your tiny steps will eventually form a strong routine. When you feel ready, add a bigger challenge, knowing your foundation is solid and reliable. This roadmap turns small beginnings into sustainable progress. By moving forward one tiny upgrade at a time, readers can grow habits that feel effortless, durable, and life-changing. Scaling is the gentle, natural growth of a habit. It happens when you increase your effort in small, manageable steps that feel realistic for your life. When you scale, your progress feels steady. You stay consistent, your confidence grows, and the habit strengthens without causing stress. Scaling respects your energy, your time, and your limits. Overextending is the opposite. It happens when you push too hard, too fast. Instead of taking small steps, you try to leap forward in a way your mind and schedule can't sustain. Overextending makes the habit feel heavy. It drains your energy, adds pressure, and often leads to burnout or quitting. What started as a positive change becomes something you dread. Scaling works because it keeps you in motion without overwhelming you. Overextending fails because it demands more than you can maintain. The key difference is how manageable the next step feels. If it feels like a natural stretch, that's scaling. If it feels like a strain or a burden, that's overextending. In the long run, big success comes from small increases, not giant jumps. Scaling builds a stable foundation. Overextending shakes it apart. In sports, small improvements can make all the difference. A runner who adds just 10 extra seconds of jogging each day slowly builds endurance. A basketball player who practices 5 free throws every morning sharpens accuracy without exhaustion. These tiny upgrades don't feel dramatic, but they build strength, confidence, and skill over time. What starts as a short, simple practice becomes a powerful advantage on the field or court. In writing, small improvements appear in the form of short daily habits. A writer who commits to just 1 paragraph a day slowly becomes more fluent, more confident, and more creative. The fear of the blank page fades because the habit feels easy. As days turn into weeks, that single paragraph grows into pages, chapters, and entire ideas that wouldn't have existed without those tiny moments of effort. In business, small improvements often separate stagnant companies from thriving ones. A manager who spends 5 minutes each day checking in with their team creates a more positive culture. A business owner who improves one small system each week, like updating a form, improving a message, or organizing a file, builds smoother operations. These micro upgrades keep the business moving forward without sudden chaos or huge risks. Across all these fields, small improvements work the same way. They reduce pressure, build momentum, and stack up over time. They may look small from the outside, but they transform skills, mindsets, and results from within. Mastery always begins in places that look ordinary and small. No one becomes great by jumping straight into perfection. Instead, they start with simple steps, steps so small that most people overlook them. A musician begins by learning 1 chord. A writer begins with 1 page. An athlete begins with 1 drill. These tiny beginnings may seem unimportant, but they are the foundation on which mastery is built. Mastery grows because small actions give you space to learn without pressure. When the task feels simple, your mind relaxes. You can focus, experiment, and improve without fear of failure. Each time you repeat the small action, your skills sharpen. Your confidence expands. You start seeing patterns you never noticed before, and your understanding deepens. As you keep practicing, those small steps naturally evolve into stronger habits. What was once difficult becomes easy. What was once confusing becomes clear. You expand your abilities layer by layer, without forcing sudden leaps. Mastery is not a single event. It is the gentle accumulation of thousands of tiny efforts that compound over time. The beauty of small beginnings is that they are always within reach. You don't need talent, motivation, or the perfect moment. You only need to begin, right where you are, with what you have. If you stay consistent, those small actions will grow roots, sprout into skills, and eventually turn into the expertise you once thought was impossible. In the end, mastery is simply the result of showing up again and again in small ways that slowly become extraordinary. Scaling preserves momentum because it keeps you moving without overwhelming you. When you grow your habits in small, manageable steps, you maintain the rhythm of progress. Each upgrade feels natural, not stressful, so you never lose the feeling of forward motion. Momentum survives when the next step feels doable. Mentor. When you scale slowly, your mind stays confident. You're not shocked by sudden demands or pressured by giant leaps. Instead, every small increase becomes proof that you're capable of more. This steady confidence becomes fuel that keeps you going, even on days when your energy is low. Scaling also helps you avoid burnout. When you push too hard, too fast, your motivation collapses and your routine breaks. But when growth is gentle, your habit stays alive. Even if your day is messy or difficult, you can still complete the smaller version of your habit. That keeps the streak alive, and a living streak is momentum in motion. Finally, scaling builds trust with yourself. Each time you take a small step and succeed, you strengthen the belief that you can keep going. That belief becomes momentum. Quiet, powerful, and self-sustaining. Over time, these small steps carry you much farther than any sudden burst of effort ever could. Here is a simple exercise you can use to gradually increase difficulty without overwhelming yourself. Step 1. Choose your tiny starting point. Pick a habit you want to grow. Make it extremely small, something you can finish in under 2 minutes. Example: 1 push-up, 1 paragraph, or 1 minute of decluttering. Step 2. Set a comfort threshold. Decide what level feels easy and natural right now. This is your baseline. Write it down so you know exactly where you're starting. Step 3. Use the 10% rule. Every week, increase the difficulty by only 10%. This keeps the habit growing without adding pressure. Examples: 1 push-up, 2 push-ups. 1 minute walk, 1 minute 10 seconds. 1 paragraph, 1 paragraph, plus 1 extra sentence. Step 4. Add 1 challenge day. Once a week, create a slightly harder version of your habit. This is not permanent. It's just to stretch your ability. Example: if your daily walk is 5 minutes, your challenge day might be 7 minutes. Step 5. Return to base level after the challenge. The day after your challenge day, drop back to your easier version. This makes the habit feel safe, not exhausting. Step 6. Review every Sunday. Ask yourself, did the habit feel too easy, too hard, or just right? Should I increase by another 10% or stay where I am? Step 7. Adjust without guilt. If life gets busy, drop back to the smallest version. This keeps momentum alive. You can always scale up again later. This exercise allows your habit to grow slowly, safely, and confidently, one gentle step at a time. Growing too fast becomes a hidden trap when progress feels exciting. But excitement isn't a reliable long-term fuel. The way to avoid overgrowth is to build a habit on stability, not adrenaline. When you increase the difficulty of a routine, the key question isn't, can I do this today? But can I sustain this for the next 30 days? If the answer is no, you're scaling too quickly. No. Another way to stay grounded is to grow only one variable at a time. Many people add more time, more intensity, and more goals all at once, and then wonder why the system collapses. Keeping the focus on a single adjustment preserves balance. If you increase duration, don't also increase complexity. If you add intensity, don't also add frequency. Slow growth is controlled growth. Finally, you avoid moving too fast by tracking your energy, not just your output. A habit that drains you, even if it looks productive on paper, is already unstable. When you notice rising resistance, unusually strong procrastination, or a sense of dread, those are early warning signs telling you to pause, not push harder. Sustainable progress comes from respecting those signals and scaling only when your mind and body feel ready. Rena started with a single tiny action, writing one sentence each morning before work. She didn't commit to chapters, outlines, or deadlines, just one sentence. At first, it felt almost silly, but it was the only way she could slip past the perfectionism that had kept her from writing for years. As the days passed, one sentence naturally became 2 or 3. She didn't force it. The small start simply made writing feel less intimidating. After a few weeks, she noticed a quiet shift. She was no longer trying to write. She was a person who wrote every morning. That identity change was the first real breakthrough, even if the word count still looked small. A month in, she gently scaled the habit by adding a 5-minute review at the end of each session. That little upgrade sharpened her ideas and made the writing feel more purposeful. One morning, she realized she had outlined an entire chapter without planning to. The micro wins were beginning to stack. 6 months after her first tiny sentence, Rena finished the draft of her book. It didn't happen through heroic bursts of effort, but through the quiet, consistent growth of a habit that started too small to fail and grew just large enough to carry her forward. Chapter 14. Celebrating forward motion. Celebrating small wins reinforces behavior because it gives the brain an immediate reward for the effort you've put in, even if the action itself was tiny. The mind is wired to repeat whatever feels rewarding, and recognition, even subtle, personal recognition, creates a positive emotional signal that says, "Do this again." That signal closes the feedback loop between action and satisfaction, making the habit easier to return to the next time. When small wins are acknowledged, progress becomes visible instead of abstract. This visibility matters. People stay motivated not by huge goals in the distance, but by feeling that they're moving, even slightly, right now. Celebrating small steps transforms slow progress into engaging momentum. giving you a sense of capability and forward motion. Over time, those celebrations teach your brain that effort leads to payoff, which strengthens the habit circuitry. Eventually, taking action becomes its own reward, because you've trained yourself to associate consistency with success, no matter the scale. Celebrating daily progress doesn't have to be big or dramatic. In fact, the most effective celebrations are small, consistent signals that tell your brain, what I did today mattered. Here are simple ways to do that. Take 10 seconds to acknowledge a win. Just pausing at the end of the day to say, I showed up, reinforces the behavior. This micro-recognition might seem insignificant, but emotionally it closes the loop between intention and action. Use a visual marker of progress. That could be checking off a box, adding a bead to a jar, or marking a calendar square. The physical act of seeing something fill up or accumulate gives a sense of accomplishment that words alone can't match. Give yourself a small pleasure linked to the effort. It could be brewing your favorite tea after completing a task, playing a favorite song, or taking a 2-minute breather by a window. These tiny rewards build a positive association with consistency. Share the win with someone supportive. A quick message like, did my workout, or wrote for 5 minutes today, can deepen the feeling of progress because it's witnessed. Humans respond powerfully to being seen. Reflect briefly on how the action is moving you toward who you want to become. A sentence in a journal or a note in your phone. This is why today mattered. Helps translate small effort into meaning. No matter the form, the key is the signal. When your brain receives regular proof that you're progressing, even in small ways, it becomes easier to stay committed day after day. Celebration impacts the brain in ways that directly strengthen habits, motivation, and long-term consistency. When you acknowledge a win, no matter how small, the brain releases dopamine, the chemical associated with pleasure, reward, and motivation. This release is not just a momentary feel-good spike. It actually marks the behavior as something worth repeating. Your brain learns, when I do this action, I feel good afterward. And it becomes more likely to guide you toward that behavior again in the future. Celebration also reinforces identity. Each small acknowledgement becomes evidence your brain uses to update its internal story about who you are. When you consistently celebrate progress, doing your workout, writing for 2 minutes, cleaning a corner of your room, you're sending a message. I'm the kind of person who shows up. Over time, this identity reinforcement becomes a powerful driver of long-term change, far stronger than relying on willpower alone. There's also a stress regulation effect. Celebrations signal safety and success, reducing the brain's threat response. Instead of feeling behind or overwhelmed, you experience a moment of meals again tomorrow. In essence, celebration works because it transforms effort into reward, behavior into identity, and progress into motivation. It teaches your brain that growth feels good, and anything that feels good is easier to repeat. Here are meaningful, healthy rewards that reinforce progress without derailing habits. A short walk outside to decompress, making a cup of your favorite tea or coffee, listening to a favorite song or playlist, 5 minutes of guilt-free scrolling or watching something funny, lighting a candle or using a scent you love, reading a few pages of a book, a warm shower to relax your body, a brief stretching or breathing session, journaling one sentence about what you're proud of, tidying a small area to create a feeling of control and clarity, giving yourself permission to rest for a few minutes, using a special notebook or pen reserved for milestone moments, watching the sunset or stepping outside for fresh air, sending yourself a kind message or affirmation, preparing a snack that feels nourishing and enjoyable. These rewards reinforce effort, energize you emotionally, and strengthen your commitment, without introducing habits that conflict with your goals. Ava had been trying to build a writing habit for years, but every time she missed a day or felt overwhelmed, she would quit for weeks. This time, she tried something different. Instead of waiting for big milestones, she celebrated every tiny win. When she wrote for 2 minutes, she checked off a bright sticker on her calendar. When she finished a paragraph, she let herself read a page from her favorite novel. When she opened her laptop without procrastinating, she said out loud, "Good, you showed up." These micro-celebrations didn't seem like much at first, but they created a steady stream of positive emotion, just enough to keep her from slipping into the old pattern of, "It's not perfect, so why bother?" On the days she felt tired or discouraged, those small celebrations reminded her that progress was happening, even if it wasn't dramatic. And because each win felt acknowledged, she didn't dread the work anymore. Slowly, her streak grew. By celebrating the tiniest steps, she never reached the point of feeling like she had failed. Instead, she felt reinforced, supported, and motivated. What would have been the start of quitting became the nudge she needed to keep going. Acknowledgement builds confidence because it turns invisible effort into something you can actually see and feel. Most people work hard, but rarely pause to notice what they've done, so their brain never gets the message that progress is happening. When you acknowledge even the smallest step, you create a moment where your mind says, "I did that. I'm capable." That tiny recognition becomes evidence, real concrete proof, that you can act, follow through, and improve. Over time, these acknowledgments stack up. They form a trail of tiny successes your brain can look back on, especially when doubt or fear tries to take over. Instead of relying on fragile motivation, you start to rely on a growing internal record of competence. Each acknowledgement strengthens your identity as someone who shows up, and that identity becomes the foundation for confidence. You're no longer guessing whether you can succeed. You've seen yourself succeed in dozens of tiny ways. This is why acknowledgement matters more than perfection. By recognizing your effort, you train your brain to value action, not flawless outcomes. Every nod of self-recognition tells your nervous system that you're heading in the right direction, which increases your willingness to keep going. In this way, acknowledgement becomes a quiet but powerful force that builds confidence from the inside out. Celebration ritual. Pause for 10 seconds.